Artificial harmonics are probably one of the most common questions I get when people get into playing electric guitar especially. They hear that sound and they have no idea what it is. So when we're talking about artificial harmonics, it's also known as pinch harmonics. And there'll be times if you're on a Ultimate Guitar or whatever website you're getting tabbed from, you'll see a riff and there'll be some parentheses and perhaps above it, it might say AH, which would be artificial harmonic, or sometimes PH, not as common, but that would be pinch harmonic, and really it's synonymous. It's kind of one and the same. And when we talk about artificial harmonics, we're talking about that super high note that jumps out when you hit the string just right, and it's primarily a right-hand technique. So if I were to play the 7th fret on the 3rd string, just a naturally fretted note, it would sound like this. And if I do an artificial harmonic, you're going to hear those super high notes jump out, and it's a really cool technique. It's often found in cool opening intro guitar riffs or crazy guitar solos. A couple rules with artificial harmonics, and I think the first one is simple. When you do them, you really have to make the ugliest possible face you can make because it sounds better when you do that. Just go for it, and it'll actually make the notes sound better, and your fans will think you're significantly better than maybe we are. At least that's helped me in my career. But that said, we have artificial harmonics, that note, and I'm going to explain to you how to do those, how I practice them, and how I teach them. To talk about artificial harmonics, I think the really important thing is to step back, and I want to go a little deeper with it by starting off by understanding what natural harmonics are and how I use natural harmonics to teach artificial harmonics as well. So if we look at natural harmonics, it's this really cool phenomenon that happens on the guitar in select places, okay, horizontally across the fingerboard. And what it is, it's a sound that gives us kind of this bell-like tone, kind of like a harp a little bit. And we're not actually going to fret notes out. We're going to play the strings really lightly. So here's what they sound like for starters. Or individuals, you think about songs like Red Barchetta. Or if you do, Heart Barracuda. Harmonics right here. So there's some really neat uses for them. And the way that they work is we're going to take our finger on our left hand and we're going to fret a note really, really lightly, okay? And we're not going to press a note. We're literally just going to touch the string as light as possible. So for natural harmonics, we have the 12th fret, the 7th fret, and the 5th fret are where they're most prominent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 3rd finger, I'm going to put it on the 12th fret of the 1st string. In fact, let's get the close-up. There we go. And as you'll see from this side shot here, I'm barely going to touch it. If you see the string actually go down like that, I'm pushing too hard. You should basically make it so the string doesn't move. You touch it. I'm going to hit the string, and right after I hit it, I'm going to lift my finger off. Now, one of the important elements of this is you'll notice if I fret the 12th fret, I'm in between the 2 metal bars. But for harmonics, I have to play directly over the bar. And the bar number is always the bar closer to the body of the guitar. So I'm here, that 11th fret bar is before my finger, the 12th is after. So I'm going to go directly over the bar, and the closer to the center over the bar I get, the more pronounced the harmonic is going to be. See that? Okay. Now also notice if I go from here, as I go down, there's nothing on the 11th fret. But about the time I get to the 7th fret, those natural harmonics occur again. Let's go with a wide shot on this. I'll show you horizontally what this looks like. So we have 12th fret, 7th, 5th. You'll get a little bit out of the 3rd, but most of the time when you hear harmonics being played naturally, you're going to find it's the 12th fret, the 7th, and the 5th. And it's just a really neat technique you can use. Well, the way to work on artificial harmonics, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what sound we need first for that, and then I'm going to show you how to do it. So the sound that we want to get to really have those notes scream out, it'll be really important. We want to have a really heavy distortion. So if you have an overdrive pedal or a distortion pedal, or if you've got a high gain Marshall amp or Mesa Boogie amp, you're going to want to crank the gain up. And the gain is going to be somewhere between probably 70% and 100%. I think probably the way to look at that is as you get past 70% on most gain knobs, you start introducing more noise than gain, but go as high as you can before the noise becomes an issue. And then the other thing you want to keep in mind is on your guitar. If you have a guitar, if you have a Les Paul or an Ibanez or Jackson, or even a Strat with a humbucker on it, that's going to be ideal. And when I'm talking about a humbucker, I'm talking about, this is a single coil pickup here, this one pickup here, where we have the 2 is called a humbucker, and I think most of us probably know that. But the 2 coil pickup has a lot more gain, a lot hotter output, and that's going to really kind of encourage those harmonics to jump off the fingerboard. So we want to select that bridge pickup in this case. So I'm using my humbucker here. I've got a fair amount of distortion. The other thing I want to do is make sure that my tone knob is all the way up, also that my volume knob's all the way up. And then, I don't know where you live, but if you live in a house and you can crank your amp up, that's ideal as well. If you're in an apartment, crank it up anyways until the neighbors, pound on the ceiling or whatever it is. But you will find that the louder you play, the more fun it is, and the more they'll come to life. And so, when we do our artificial harmonics, it's going to be just like our natural harmonics, but we're going to use our right hand to kind of do everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you basically how I want you to do this with your thumb. I'm basically going to take my thumb and pretend like it's my left hand third finger directly over that 12th bar, right? So I'm going to put the side of my thumb, this will be a close-up probably good on this. I'm going to take the side of my thumb right here, and I'm going to put that directly over that 12th fret, so you can see where that is. And in fact, from the front view, so I'm over the 12th fret with the side of my thumb right here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pluck the string with the pick, and as it goes, the pick goes through the string bounces and hits the side of my thumb, which is the same thing as if I use my finger to do the same thing. I'm just doing it all with one hand here. Okay? And you may notice that my thumb is pointed towards the ground. Right? I'm kind of bending my thumb more when I do the artificial harmonics. So we're going to take that technique and simply move it back to here, and this is where we're going to make these artificial harmonics happen. So we can go back to a wide shot, and I'll show you here with my left hand. I'm going to use the 7th fret on the 3rd string. I'm using it with my 3rd finger because I may want to bend the note down the road. But this is a pretty comfortable spot for notes to really jump for artificial harmonics. Great place to start. So my right hand over here, I'm going to hit the string with the pick just like I did when I did the natural harmonic. And as the pick goes through the string, it should bounce off the side of my thumb, and right when I feel it hit that thumb, you're going to pick up. Okay, so you'll notice here's the natural note, here's the harmonic. You can't really see with that view there, but now watch this, watch the thumb what I'm doing here. Here it's, if I go close up on that one more time, there we go. So here I'm not interfering with the string, and as I bring my thumb down and it hits the string as I play it, you get those notes. Now the other thing you want to be aware of is right when you hit it, watch my thumb come up. So I'm coming up. Okay, and that's what's going to give us that artificial harmonic, and we want to try doing this obviously in different parts on the fingerboard. But another really important part about artificial harmonics is the horizontal position in which we're playing. Okay, you'll notice that when I play the note, I can get a harmonic there, but as I move my right hand here across the strings, right, we're getting a whole plethora of different notes there. Plethora, great word. Use it in a sentence tomorrow. Anyways, you have a plethora of different notes that are coming off there. And one of the things you can do if you want to have certain notes in a guitar solo that you're writing is just turn your tuner on your pedal board or whatever you're using, hit the tuner, and then hit some of those notes and find out what they are. I'm playing a D note here, but I can literally hit all these different notes, and let's see what I have coming up. There's like an E will come out of there, a C, a B. I'm looking at my tuner, by the way. So you have these different notes that'll pop out, and you can actually time those to happen at the right spot of the solo if you want to get that exact with it. If you're a little bit OCD, might be a way to go. But more importantly, it's when you're jamming, just make the face and just freaking tear it up, and it's kind of a good technique we want to use.